Come on in, welcome to my home. Can you believe it's going to be June already? So that means it is time for our June bullet journal. I really cannot believe this. Time has flown by. And since I really haven't gone anywhere, it seems really weird that time's flown by. But it has. So first thing we want to do is we want to take a look back at our May bullet journal and see what worked and what didn't work. Then we'll set up the June one. But let's do the voiceover for the May one. Alright, let's start off with our May cover page. And believe it or not, I actually used my May cover page. Alright, let's explain this. This, of course, is April. This was April's mood journal. But the May cover page, I actually put down some of the highlights for that day that happened, which some of the highlights were getting groceries. But I did use this cover page, and I actually like doing that because it did give me a chance to put down what some of the exciting things were. And yes, one of those days does say nap on it. But the one thing I did find was that was not enough space to do that. In fact, you'll see that's a reoccurring theme in this month. Alright, let's switch over. Then we have the first week. I do like the one-page weekly. This works out really well, and having my exercise log right here works out really well. And yes, today is the 18th of May? Wow, I'm getting confused. This is the 18th of May. So having this all set up like this really did work out well. I did notice that my way of doing my water did get slightly messy, because you can't tell if there's an X and a cross there. It just looks like it's been blacked out, basically. But everything else, the task, that works really well. Same thing with the week 19. Once again, I still have the weekends have nothing on them. But this is going to get even stranger for next month because I've already penciled that one in. Now you will notice something which is really weird. You will notice that a lot of these days I ran out of room. So on some of these I actually ran out of room for, oh hey, I did do some of these things. I ran out of room for some of the things which were on here, and that was an issue. That was actually a fairly big issue. I need more room here, but I don't need as much room here for my weekly things, and that's blatantly obvious, because as you can see from these others, I barely go down anywhere on this one. So that is its own thing. Other than that, I do love this setup. Like, absolutely, truly love this setup with the events over here on the edges and then the task right here. Works really well for me. Have not done the final week of May, but, I mean, this really is an issue. The issue of Saturday and Sunday, I don't do much of anything on Saturday and Sunday, and I specifically have it set up so that I don't do much on Saturday and Sunday. Brain dump. Didn't use it. And this is going to become an issue later on. If you have been following me in the community tab, you'll notice that I asked you about using the Google products to do a bullet journal. And a lot of you are saying you'd like to see that simply because they're free, they're with you on the phone, but we'll get into that much, much later. Now, ignore that because I'm not actually going to do this. I did throw in my plant waterings so that way I can keep track of where I watered my plants. I had planned on having a whole bunch more outdoor plants by now, but of course, this is just now. We went from 29 degrees at night to today it's supposed to be 84. So, yeah, that's its own issue. So I have not done my outdoor plants because it's been hard enough to cover the one plant that I have outside, which is chives right now. Alright, that's our May bullet journal. It has been working pretty well. There were a few things I did see the problems with, as I told you. Now let's go ahead and do the June setup, and then we'll take a flip through of that real quick. Alright, let's get this started. The first thing we need to do is we need to draw out our calendar. I am using a 0.8 micron pen in black to do that because that is absolutely my favorite pen to use. Now the one thing I had to be super careful with this is that there are a lot of lines which do not go all the way through. So that's why this is penciled in, and it's penciled in way darker than what it looks like as I'm looking at this on the screen. It is penciled in really, really dark. So I then drew in the calendar, made sure that all of those dates were in there, made sure that all of the squares had the spots that I needed them with the right date. That is one thing that I have learned. Then I tried drawing the June, or at least writing in June in some sort of better writing with using a brush pen. We're working on that, but you'll find out that there's something which is new coming up with this. So I do have a notes section. I do not think that I will use this, but this does give me enough room to write in the extra things which I'm going to be doing during the highlights that I want to remember for the month. Then I try to write in my quote, which the writing isn't the greatest. However, the quote does get in there, and the quote is I'm not even sure if I truly made it up, but it is something I was thinking about, simply because the last months have been sort of strange, so we'll go over that. I do a simple doodle on this one. I don't try to make it fancy because the whole goal of this is to be very, very minimal, simply because I'm going to be doing something which I'd never planned on doing with this month. But we'll talk about that towards the end. Now, once again, I am making sure that all of those lines and everything are in there, and I'm not forcing you to go through this really slowly, because this gets repeated quite a bit. The one thing which I did find is I needed to have the extra lines so that way I could look at the task really easy and see how that goes in there. So then I put in my days of the week, making sure that those are there, and a spot for me to make sure that I have my water intake in there, because I do want to make sure that I get that water intake in there. Now we'll really speed this up, because what it does is it gets repeated throughout this a lot, and I do mean an actual lot. It is the same setup for the rest of the week. And I do love this setup. I mean, I really do love this setup simply because it works so well for me. I don't know if this setup will work that well for you, but having a spot for my everything, having a spot for my events, which as you notice is larger, and having a spot for my task, which is slightly smaller, but I think that will be okay. I don't mind having the smaller spot, but I did stick with just the one pen. There is no extra color in this, simply because, I mean, the color scheme for my house right now is white with just a hint of green, simply because I'm hoping that June has some really nice sunny days, and I can see the color of June out through my windows, and that will be very nice. And that's why I went with something simple. Plus, I don't want to have to try to do the bullet journal with a whole lot of doodles and that sort of thing. And that becomes an issue. A lot of people have reached out to me and said, they like bullet journaling, but they are not the best artist. And I totally understand that one. I am right there with you on this. This bullet journal works well for me simply because it's a minimal bullet journal. It uses the space fairly well, because I've seen a lot of bullet journalers talking about they can barely get 6 months in a bullet journal. I think I'm actually going to be able to get a year in this bullet journal, but we will see. We're actually on to the last week, which is just amazing that we did this quickly. And this last week, I do throw in my exercise simply because it was something that I did want to keep in there. I have that every month that I have the exercises that I do, and I try to fit this in on wherever there is extra space. This really works out quite well, and it keeps me on track to make sure that I get all of the things done, and this time hopefully it won't look as messy as it has in the past, because sometimes that can be a little hard to make sure that you get all of the everything in there so that you can read them and keep track of, did you do the same number of sets that you were supposed to do that you had planned on doing. This way, hopefully, I can get all of that in there without much hassle and without many problems. Putting in the dates there, and I did not switch pens, I didn't even think about this until I was done with it. The fact that I stuck with that 0.8 micron pen, I absolutely love that pen. It works for everything that I am doing, and it gives me a bold enough line so that I can see what I'm doing without it being too bold so that I can't use it. There are some things in there where I could have done with a different pen, but I thought, nope, not this time. This is where I actually, oddly enough, you can't tell this looking at this, but it is not written in there in pencil like it is. I had done it so that it would be every single space, and instead I've spaced this out to be 2 blocks over. And this will give me enough room so that I can put in my plants, because I do want to keep better track of watering my plants, simply because I have a tendency to forget about the poor plants, and I don't want to forget about them this year. And then we're putting in the dates down there, still using that. Now, the big thing is, once again, I want to make sure that I can actually see where the week breaks up, and that's what's important to me, is making sure that I can see all of those things at the end of the month. Alright, we are done. Everything is drawn in, and this is the simplest bullet journal I have ever done, and for a good reason. Let's go back and take a look at it. Alright, let's start off with our June cover page, which is just the month where I have enough space so that I can write in my highlights of the day, which I think I'm really going to enjoy, and my quote, which is, "Great things lie on both sides of my front door," which I hope will be true this month, so I can be inside and also get outside some places. And then this is going to be, you'll notice that everything is just black and white, simply because the overall color theme for my house this June is white. So that is something to I want to make sure that that ties in together. Now, when we get into these pages are the simplest that I've done. Now, the things which I have changed up this time is right here for my water. I did leave extra space, and that's 2 squares so that I can fill in, half a square for 2 cups of water, 1 square for 4 cups, and so on. And I left enough space for my task so that way I can see where I put the dot and write in the task there. There's not too much space. Yes, I know what you're saying. Saturday and Sunday are still really big, but it looks even. So I sort of like that. This should work out really well. I thought about moving Friday over, but then it worked out really strangely. This hopefully will work out, and all of these are set up exactly the same, which I like, simply because this way it gives me, continuity. And all of these go this way. Then I do have my workout schedule here, which has the days that I work out, the exercise that I'm doing 60 minutes of cardio, 2 sets with 12 reps and 15 pounds. And then I also have enough room that I can add in a new exercise, because I always try to either increase the weight or add a new exercise every month. Now, this is going to be interesting. The plants, I did leave enough room so I can put in more plants. I divided out the weeks so that way I can put down when I water them, when I fertilize them, all those fun things. But that's it. This June, I kept it very, very simple. There you go. This bullet journal doesn't have to be fancy, because I'm going to be working in 2 bullet journals. I know you're surprised. What we're going to be doing is I'm also going to be working in a digital bullet journal using Google products like Google Calendar, Google Keep, and then the task. So we're going to see how that works. That's why I kept this so super simple, because I knew this was going to be one of those monumental things to see how this works. If it works really well, you will see a new bullet journal using the using the Google products, which I do believe are free, so that way you can, have a digital bullet journal, because I always have my phone with me, and that's one of those fun sort of things. Now, if you want to see that more of that, just let me know down in the comments. This one, I want to stress this, I did this for a specific reason. It matches my color scheme, and also this is something everyone can do. I've heard lots and lots of people say, well, I'm not a big artist, I can't draw pictures, I don't like the pictures. Alright, there are no pictures in this one. Nothing. The one thing that I have found is that with the bullet journal, using the digital bullet journal, because I'm sort of playing around with it right now, my artwork and calligraphy is much, much better because I'm doing it with digital things. So you'll probably see more of that if you follow me on Instagram or in other places. But I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you thought about it on this really simple, minimalistic, as minimal as you can get bullet journal. This should be sort of fun. I hope I get to see you again next time, and check out these other videos that I picked out just for you.